What do you say to voters who watched that debate last night who find J.D. Vance's inability to say the same disqualifying?
I think that voters, if you just look at voters right now, voters have clearly processed it. Whatever you and I think, they've clearly processed it, and roughly 50% think that the alternative is better. You can argue that, but that's reality. And you can look at the facts of why they're making that decision. There's been incredible inflation over the last 3 years that have left many Americans poorer than when they started. Now, again, we can argue if that's a valid reason, but if you look at the economy, if you look at the border, if you look at kind of even now where there might be a strike about to take place, which will, again, maybe reignite inflation, folks are saying, maybe I don't like everything about my candidate, but I like it better than the alternative. And I am one to respect the wishes of the American people.
Understood, Senator. With that said, after what you watched last night, of course, 2020, as we just mentioned, was one of many issues discussed. Did that debate actually move the needle in this campaign? Is this race just unique to the point where the vice presidential debate can tip the scale?
I don't know that. It could. I think J.D. won. When the New York Times is writing an article basically excusing Walz's poor performance, that tells you that J.D. Vance won. I kind of liked it because Vance talked about a couple things when he spoke about a bipartisan effort on paid family leave. I'm reading that effort from the Republican side. And when he talked at the outset about maybe putting a tariff or a fee of some sort on countries that are producing all the pollution that's blowing over into our country, well, that's also something I'm working on. And so, of course, I like to hear that. Whether or not the American people find it meaningful, we'll just have to wait to see. But I think both of them kind of represented their side, and most people think that J.D. won.
Well, of course, they did dive into some pretty substantive policy discussions at certain points. It did feel a bit unusual almost for the kind of debates we're used to seeing in the past few cycles. Senator, they also discussed an issue that I know is near and dear to your heart, and that is American energy. This is what Governor Walz had to say about energy production in the United States.
We are producing more natural gas and more oil at any time than we ever have. We're also producing more clean energy. So the solution for us is to continue to move forward, that climate change is real. We are seeing us becoming an energy superpower for the future, not just the current. And that's what absolutely makes sense.
That is factually accurate, Senator. We are pumping a record amount of oil and gas. So when Donald Trump is saying drill, baby, drill, what needs to happen to drill more than we already are if it's already at a record? First,
let's say that record production is despite many of the Biden-Harris regulations. The natural gas is coming from the Haynesville Shale in North Louisiana, the Eagle Ford, and West Texas, as well as a few other, Marcellus. Those are private lands. Those are not federal lands. The first thing that Joe Biden did when he took office was kill the Keystone Pipeline, which would have brought more oil supply from Canada, our closest ally, one of them, down to the United States for processing, by the way, creating jobs in the United States. Now what you could do on the increase is to have more leasing in the Outer Continental Shelf. That's off the coast, the Gulf Coast of Louisiana. When you do that, you create a lot of jobs, a lot of oil, a lot of natural gas, and we do it in a more environmentally friendly way than any other country in the world when it comes to our shore. So they're being a little disingenuous, taking credit for the production which is happening on private lands. Yes, we have more renewable energy, but that renewable trend has been going on for some time. So I think they're trying to have it both ways. Telling their environmentalists they're going to try and inhibit production off the coast of Louisiana, on the other hand, claiming credit for production which is happening on private lands.
Well, I know that you've been passionate about the issues of permitting and also the LNG export ban, Senator. That's something that Tim Walz talked about last night as well. And he made the point, as Kailey just referenced and you did as well, that we're actually at a point of extracting a record amount of natural gas. He said there's no ban on that. So tell our audience what would happen if, in fact, we did lift the ban under another administration on LNG exports.
So LNG exports, a couple of things. One, our allies in Europe need our natural gas, our liquefied natural gas. If we don't want them to buy it from Russia to weaken the Russian war effort, they need to buy it from somebody, and we become the world's major supplier. So that's number one. Number two, you create lots of really good paying jobs when you build these facilities. And number three, it may seem counterintuitive, when you actually create a market to export our spare natural gas, you provide stability to the low prices for natural gas that we've had for some time. Lastly, I'll say this. When we burn natural gas instead of coal, when another country, for example, Germany or China or Korea, burns our natural gas instead of coal, that's better for the world's environment. Natural gas is much more cleanly burning than coal, and so therefore we replace the emissions that would result from coal with, frankly, no emissions when it comes to sulfur and no emissions when it comes to nitrates. So it actually improves the world environment as we produce more natural gas. Now, the Biden administration has put a hold on permitting LNG export facilities. That creates uncertainty, the potential to kill the construction jobs, and the potential to bring in instability in the pricing of natural gas. And it certainly hurts our allies, and it doesn't allow the substitution of natural gas for coal. It's like four bad things in a row, and the Biden administration is promoting that.